This is a pleasant surprise, a real-life MBA, 200-some pages, and I was blown away by the directness. Let me go to the quote, Jack, which I thought you were especially insulting on right now. Taking the grind out of the game. A leader's job is to sweep away the action blockers, the change resistors, the process obsessives. What have you been sitting in on our meetings? These people are nothing more than self-appointed, self-righteous scolds. They drain energy. I mean, you're direct in this book. Why so direct?
Look, we got to get this game back into the fun part of it. Business is a game, Tom. And without question, the team that wins feels the best players. And this is all about taking the grinding, boring. Since 2008, not enough people are engaged. They're full of fear.
Right.
The Gallup poll shows 35% of the people are engaged, 65% against it. Imagine that. Imagine going to a game and 65% of your players stay on the sidelines.
Right. Let's go to Kemi at Pittsfield, Massachusetts, to the leading the fine life at Bain & Company, Suzy Welch. What did you bring to this book, Suzy? Everybody thinks it's Jack.
Yeah.
But you did Bain for years.
I mean, it's Jack. No, but I'm a writer and an editor. I've been a writer and editor my whole life long, so I was the conceptual editor and the writer, and I would have to say I contributed a few.
What do we get wrong in our MBA-itis today?
Well, we have a chapter in this book called Getting Whacked and Getting Better. I mean, I got an MBA. I got it at the Harvard Business School. I didn't have a course on getting whacked, but in fact, that's what really happens in life. I mean, that's what really happens in companies. You get a competitor who comes in, like suddenly buys your second biggest competitor, and suddenly you're the small guy, or you get fired, or you get whacked. And so we have a whole chapter on what to do when you get whacked so that you can get out of it.
What do we do?
Well, there's a list of things you can do.
Read
the first
the
thing
book,
is,
Tom.
yeah, for God's sake, you have the book. I mean, I think the first thing you do is you own it. You say, I got whacked. Okay, first there's always a lot of denial and cover-up, and you say, I got whacked. Here's what I did to contribute to the whack. And then there's several other steps about changing the way you do strategy and changing the way you approach the markets.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of getting whacked in this book, and there's a little bit of being the whacker. I mean, this is when you talk about that quote that Tom talked about, the action blockers. Your advice in the book is very clear: get rid of them, fire them. That's also a painful action.
How do you fire someone?
With dignity. Never anybody who is fired and is surprised, it's the boss's fault. No employee should ever be surprised. And that's one of the lessons of this book. We've talked to 1 million people as we've gone around the world.
Literally.
1 million people, literally, in the last 10 years. And we asked people, do you know where you stand in your company? We don't get 10% of the crowd raising their hand. People are working in a job where their bosses are not telling them what they need to do to improve.
Can you tell Olivia with that accent that he was captain of the Salem, Massachusetts high school hockey team?
I could.
It sounds like you're from Salem, Mass.
I am.
So why is an MBA not worth it? I have a lot of friends in business school. They appear to be taking out huge loans and spending about $30,000, taking fabulous trips.
Well, we don't say that.
Yeah, MBAs, there is a time and place for an MBA. If you've got 2 years and the money and the flexibility to give up the $300,000 involved in getting an MBA, you could go to a leafy campus, go to one of the top-tier schools, okay? But now you can get an MBA education. You can get it in a book, or you can get it online. There's lots of ways. I mean, there are certain people.
Wait a minute, you can get the Jack Welch Management School.
Yeah.
We have 900 students growing 40% a year.
But it's an online course, and people nowadays, it seems to me, go to grad school, particularly for the, go to the MBA for the social component, for the networking.
Well, there's no question, you're right, that's the missing link in an online school, and we're working wildly. We had a meeting here with our New York area graduates the other night. I'm on a webcast twice a month. Our dean is out in the country meeting with our students, but it's hard.
It's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off.
You give it up. You give up the socialization for the low cost.
And you pay $39,000. You get an MBA. You stay in your job. You grow. Our graduates are getting 65% of them are getting promoted, 18% raises while they're there.
Can I quote from the gospel according to Jack and Suzy? And we're going to come back and talk about the
Are we going to have to hold hands and have a service?
Here we go. Sing Kumbaya. Here's Jack Welch quoting, "Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name." He's quoting from Cheers.
All you're doing is just pulling out all the Massachusetts references you can come up with.
We're talking about expats.
Is Norm going to show up for the next block? Jack and Suzy with us here as well.